All right, good morning. It is April 2nd. We made it through the first, guys. I'm James. We got Zach. He's got a hat on today. Eric also has a hat. And Brian
doesn't exist.
But I have a hat. He's our AI bot. How's everyone doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good day after April Fool's.
I'm surprised there wasn't much April Fool's pranks this year.
I don't know if everybody's in a pranking mood.
Yeah. Everyone still thinks it's March.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Let's dive in. We got some good questions today. Let's see. Well, first question today. All right. The PPP versus EIDL. What's the difference? Yeah, there's a lot of, I think, confusion there because it's all loans. Brian, you've got some pretty good research and experience with this. Can you clarify some of this for us?
Man, Dan and I have been nonstop trying to keep up with this, talking with everybody in the banking world. What it comes down to is nobody knows. The good thing is we have some hard dates, and we're going to try to follow those hard dates and be proactive about making sure that, as an example, putting ourselves in the front of the line. We don't want this to be another toilet paper type of situation. Let's start with the EIDL. Everybody has been talking about the whole EIDL. This is, I think, the coronavirus.sba.gov type link. And it really only takes about 10 minutes to fill out. It's super simple application. I would go and make sure that if you haven't done that, do that now. The very last question, ask if you want a $10,000 advance. Check that, make sure your bank account information and routing number is correct, and just submit right now. Nobody has seen any funds distributed from this program yet. This is just an application. This is not saying that you will take or promise or do anything. Just do that now so that you can get your place in line. The second part of this is the PPP. We know that April 3rd is the date for application submissions for entities. The date changes to April 10th for submissions if you're an independent contractor or a sole proprietor. This PPP loan is going to be the one that you want. This is the one where there are two parts. The first part is determining how big of a loan that you're going to get. The second part is the forgiveness portion. There's a lot of details for sure. The biggest thing right now is, again, getting yourself in line, making sure that you fill out this PPP application and get it to an approved SBA lender tomorrow, April 3rd. I cannot stress this enough. We have a video that we put out on how to properly fill out the PPP application and some pitfalls that you want to look out for, especially as if there are multiple owners of a company. We'll put the link in below of this video. Take a look at it. There's definitely a lot of information out there floating around, but just be prepared to fill out that PPP application tomorrow, and make sure you get your EIDL application in also online. So EIDL is the only online application right now. PPP, we have not heard of an online application. You will have to fill out somewhat of a paper application. You could do some wizardry magic on your computer to try to sign it and fill it out, but you're going to need to make sure that you contact the local lender. Big banks are probably going to be they will be participating. I just do not know how they will be accepting applications in this non-contact type of world right now. So there we go.
So probably a good idea to reach out today, if you haven't yet, reach out to an SBA lender that you can find, right?
For sure. Yep.
And then be ready to submit by tomorrow.
Yep.
Is there for the PPP, I know that's a paper form for now, paper application. Is that floating around somewhere that people can take a look at?
Yeah, our YouTube video has a link in the description. We can also put it as a link when we post this up too.
Cool. Awesome.
That works.
I think the other follow-up question that I saw yesterday was, will the loan amounts run out? So what are the likelihood if I fill this out that, barring that I will get approved, that I'll get funded?
Yeah, I mean, for U.S.-based businesses, this is the biggest and craziest stimulus act that I've ever seen, and I think everybody's going to be applying for it. I mean, the government's intent is to keep jobs and the economy going. I think everybody's going to apply. I think the money will run out. It's not to say that there won't be a second or third or fourth. I mean, hopefully this thing doesn't go on for a long time. Yeah. But if you want to make sure that you get yourself in line to be able to get some of these funds, as soon as possible, do it now.
Cool. Yeah. For those of you guys watching today, as soon as you watch this, if you haven't yet, reach out to an SBA lender and take a look at the sample application. At least get prepped for what information that you need to have ready so you can submit by tomorrow. Cool. Thanks, Brian.
Hey, real quick on that. If there are gym owners out there that don't know how to contact an SBA lender or maybe don't have the resources immediately at their fingertip, is there a way that we can direct them towards it? Or do you just recommend them immediately going to the bank with which they have their banking business set up at?
Yeah, this is a hard question because most folks, it'd be safe to say that most folks bank at a large institution, and who you think is your banker when you go into the branch really isn't somebody that's prepared to answer your questions about this SBA loan. We feel like your community bank, your smaller bank, is a lot more, prepared to answer some of these questions, but you have to find somebody in the SBA department. Otherwise, they may not have that knowledge. So
got it.
Definitely you could call around, figure out who your local bank is, ask them for their SBA department, make those calls right now. If you can, every town has a local bank. So I would start there first.
Okay.
There's also some resources and links we could give out from the SBA directly that list out a lot of these lenders and small banks.
Awesome.
Cool. That'll be helpful.
So that's a good segue into this next question. What should I be focused on? I feel like a lot of people are there's so many balls in the air and so many fires to try to put out. Without diving into how to put out each fire, how do you guys wrap your mind around or kind of get your mindset around being able to kind of tackle the next month and a half of, you just know there's going to be lots of challenges coming up?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, we figure, at least for the California-based gyms, we're 2 weeks in, maybe somewhere around there. From like a needs analysis, there's work to be done every day, and it's not just spinning your wheels, falling apart, and worrying about things you can't control. We need to be focused, or the gym owners and our teammates need to be focused and spending their time and their energy working specifically, and I mean specifically, on only the things that they can control. And so if we've got things that have deadlines attached to them, so as an example, the loan that has an April 3rd deadline, I'm not worrying and running around crazy cleaning my bathrooms today. I'm getting this document in order. I'm getting my financials in order. I'm getting my tax returns in order. I'm actually taking control of what I can organize and putting certain things before other things. Prioritizing these next couple of days is going to be significant if we're going to win on the financial side. I think that's an important thing. It's going to need to take a front seat.
I think that's a good strategy. In general, just focusing on what you can control, and everything else, it's out of your control. So you can't really do much about it. Right.
Right. Oh, agreed.
Yeah. If I can chime in, this is one of those scenarios. This is one of those points in time where if you had good habits in planning, you'll be able to fall back and leverage those habits. And I think a lot of people get emotional in situations like this. I know, Eric, you were talking about that article. It is hard not to, but if for instance, you were literally just to take the last half hour of the day or like your working day and just dedicate it to planning on what you should be focusing on. Focus on tomorrow. And that 30 minutes should be dedicated to thinking about the things that you can control. Be like, okay, let's list those things out. What takes precedence? First and foremost, loan application. Let's get that in. Second, let me check in with my coaches. I can control my communication with my staff. Then I can control my communication with my members and my customers. And you just list these things out and make sure you do the planning at the end of every day. because that's going to reframe your perspective going into the next day, which is where anxiety is typically created, which is where the emotions will stem from. So I think if you had those good planning habits that Eric talks about all the time, you should trust that you can fall back on those. And if you haven't had those, then this is the perfect time to start developing.
To build them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think
Awesome.
that's probably one of the best and most the simplest steps that could be taken is to start framing out how your day into your week works. Like, write the plan and then work the plan. And if you need help, ask. We can't just have gym owners sit on their hands and all of a sudden another week goes by and they're significantly behind. That's where overwhelm, like you said, Zach, that's where anxiety builds. We know that overwhelm quickly moves to anxiety. Anxiety quickly moves into depression and frustration, and it's cascades. So we don't want to get there. We don't want to get to that point and then raise our hand and say, I need help. So it's important to reach out well before it gets to that point.
Anxiety forms because you're not addressing things that you know you should be addressing. Anxiety usually doesn't happen when you're worried about something outside of your control. That's another emotion, but anxiety is should be a red flag to you, meaning like, I'm not focusing on what my priority should be. So taking those 30 minutes out at the end of the day, exactly what Eric is saying, that's where you should start. That's what you should be focusing on.
Cool.
Well, that's a good segue into what I'm going to admit is a very planted question here. But how do I get more good stuff? I think this might be a good way to plan out your day, plan out your week. Zach, you want to take this on?
Well, so if you're looking for more good stuff, then we're gonna start sending out a weekly update. It might turn into a more frequent update, but it's gonna be in the form of an email newsletter, and it's gonna highlight some of the things that are, in our opinion, the Good Stuff's panel opinion, things that you need to focus on or things that you should be aware of. So kind of like a digest, kind of like a weekly update kind of thing where we're going to toss some different resources out at you, and you'll be able to interact with those things through the email. But I would also highly suggest joining some specific groups on Facebook or social media to get even more immediate updates. But yeah, look forward to that newsletter. There's going to be some good stuff in it.
On that note, we can close it off. So everything we mentioned today, we'll have all these links below the video.
Cool.
And again, just make sure you like and subscribe to this video on YouTube. We'll be doing this every weekday. You can anticipate and expect these videos to be out by midday every weekday. So our goal is to get you the most latest and greatest information and just talk shop for 10 minutes a day. Well, cool guys. Thanks for hopping on today. Let's round up again tomorrow.
You got it.
Perfect. Sounds good. End of the week.
All right.
Thank you.
Later.